Prayer is frontline warfare. It is the ultimate weapon in our struggle against rulers, against authorities, against the powers of this dark world, and against the spiritual forces of evil in high places. That's Ephesians 6:10. My name is Julie True. I'm coordinating the day of prayer at the Capitol this Thursday. I hope you've heard about it. Hopefully your church announced it, or maybe you heard about it through social media. Do you know what I appreciate about prayer? It doesn't require anything extra. I can be an ordinary mom with lots of overwhelming problems, and I can come to Him just as I am. I don't have to have a heart overflowing with faith or the label prayer warrior or a special certification from a denomination to pray and call others to join me in prayer. I can be broken. I can pour out my heart to God and He hears me. And when I'm overwhelmed and I'm tearful, He doesn't tell me, get your act together, then come back. He allows me to approach Him just as I am. We are a people with many battles, and they can be different for each of us. Some of our battles are seen, like the fight with illness or cancer, the overwhelm of autism, or autoimmune diseases. And some of us struggle with unseen battles, like depression and anxiety and fear. And there are so many that struggle with the battle of addiction. There is so much that has happened over the past 2 years, nationwide and worldwide. Without a shot fired or war looming on our shores, our sense of security and safety has been shaken to the core. There are so many families that have suffered, and so many of our children now have this underlying fear, even a hopelessness of what the future holds. These problems, they seem unsurmountable, like a tidal wave. It can take our faith and drown our hope. But whatever the battle is, it's not too big for the Lord. Have you heard about Asa's prayer? So Asa was a good king for almost all of his reign, but then Israel got into a bad situation, and they were outnumbered and outgunned, and Asa did the only thing he knew to do, and it was the best thing. He prayed. In 2 Chronicles 14:11, it says, Asa called out to the Lord his God and said, Lord, there is no one besides you to help in this battle between the powerful and those who have no strength. So help us, O Lord our God, for we trust in you and in your name have come against this multitude. O Lord, you are our God. Do not let man prevail against you. It was a short, simple prayer. He acknowledged God's great power to help and that God can give a victory even to those who have no power. So he asks for help. He puts his trust in God. He says, we rest on you. He dedicates the battle to God's name and reaffirms his allegiance to God. O Lord, you are our God. We trust in you. And then he closes the request that the wicked men do not prevail against God. He's asking that God would be glorified in giving a victory. There is so much that we can learn, but let's take a look at the results. So they won the battle. It says in 2 Chronicles 14:12, the Lord smote the Ethiopians before Asa, before Judah, and the Ethiopians fled. Now let's keep in mind, they had to do something. They couldn't just sit back and wait for God to win the battle. He required action of them. They had to fight. But God was there, making sure that they had the victory, and they would not have had a victory without God. So what does that say to us today? Does God stop answering prayers back then? Or is our unchanging God not changing? And that means we still have hope that He hears our prayer. We still have the responsibility to act and do. But we give God the glory for every victory. So I will be at the Capitol on Thursday, and I hope you will join me. At the 10 a.m. hour, we're going to be at the Capitol steps, and we're going to be there praising and worshiping and praying. And we're going to do communion. And then at the noon hour, we're going to break, and all four corners of the Capitol, there will be prayer anchors, intercessory prayer teams there to pray, surrounding the Capitol with prayer. I'm going to go on a prayer walk, and I wonder if you want to join me, or go on a prayer walk by yourself, starting at one of the corners, having prayer, then taking my Bible, reading scripture, meditating on it, pausing to pray, and then going to the next corner. Surrounding this Capitol, this building, our lawmakers make decisions that impact our everyday lives, our children's lives, praying that God would give them wisdom and that they would act in honorable ways. Will you be there? Will you join me? And if you can't be at the Capitol, please join me in prayer for our nation, for our state, for our communities, our families, for our churches, that they would rise up, that there would be revival, that God would be honored in everything that we say and do as believers. Because we are in a time where spiritual forces are strong, but God is stronger. I hope to see you there.